All right, let's talk about a huge shift in how we all build software. I mean, a change so big, it's kind of like defying gravity itself. And, well, that's literally the promise behind Google's new platform, Antigravity, and what they're calling the agent-first revolution. Okay, so their core philosophy is this: to counteract the gravitational pull of informational noise, lifting fragmented knowledge into clarity, flow, and harmony. It sounds a little poetic, right? But what it's really about is cutting through all that noise, all the stuff that just bogs down development, and actually creating something actionable. It's a really bold vision. So let's unpack what this actually means for you, the developer.
You know, for the last few years, we've gotten used to thinking of AI as a coding assistant, right? Basically, a super smart autocomplete. But what if? What if it could be way more than that? I'm talking about an autonomous partner, something that doesn't just help you write the code, but can take on entire tasks all by itself. Answering that question is exactly what anti-gravity is all about.
So let's get into the big idea here. What does this new kind of AI partner look like when the rubber meets the road? Well, the key concept you need to grasp is this agent-first revolution. And listen, this isn't just another upgrade to the tools we already have. No, this is a complete rethinking of our relationship with AI as developers.
And this comparison here, it just lays out the difference so clearly. Think about it. Today, our coding assistants, they mostly just autocomplete lines of code for us. It's helpful, sure, but it's very linear. You ask, it answers. With an agent-first platform like this, we're talking about agents that can actually plan and execute whole tasks. Instead of that back and forth, you can have multiple agents working at the same time, in parallel. The AI goes from being a passive tool that responds to you to an autonomous actor that gets things done.
And that brings us to the central metaphor for anti-gravity, which I think is just brilliant. The whole goal is to evolve your IDE, your coding environment, from just a simple text editor into a full-blown mission control for these autonomous AI agents. Your job changes. You're not just writing code anymore. You're orchestrating a whole team of AI.
So what does it actually feel like to be in this mission control? Let's dive in and look at the interface that really makes this whole new way of working possible.
Okay, this is it. This is the Agent Manager. And it's really the heart and soul of the anti-gravity experience. You'll notice right away, instead of your typical file tree, you're looking at a dashboard. And this dashboard is all about high-level orchestration. It's where your role really shifts from being just a coder to being more of a project architect.
So from right here in the Agent Manager, you can define these high-level objectives. You can say something like, hey, refactor the entire auth module. Then you just spawn a dedicated agent to go handle that. And while that agent is off working, you can spin up another one to fix a critical bug, and maybe even a third one to write a whole new test suite. The key is, you can see all of these work streams happening in parallel. You get to review their status, check their outputs, and give feedback, all from this one central spot.
Okay, so what actually makes these agents so capable? I mean, how can they be so autonomous? Well, it turns out they have a couple of what you could call superpowers that really make it all happen.
So there are two core capabilities we need to talk about. First, there's an integrated browser. This is basically a sub-agent that can go out onto the web, gather information, interact with websites, and even record what it's doing. And second, and this part is absolutely crucial, is a system they call artifacts. Think of these as a way for the agent and the human to communicate in a way that's totally verifiable. So these artifacts, they're designed to solve what the anti-gravity team calls the trust gap. And it's a real thing, right? When an AI tells you, hey, I fixed that bug, how can you really be sure? Well, artifacts are that proof. They are these rich files. We're talking plans, diagrams, browser recordings, code diffs that the agent produces to prove its work. It shows you exactly what it did and why. And here's how that actually bridges the trust gap in practice. It's a simple, clear workflow. First, the agent generates a plan, like a task list. That's an artifact you can review. Step 2, the agent goes off and does the work. And as it does, it produces proof, like a recording of it using the browser to test something or a clear code diff. Finally, you review all those artifacts and give your feedback. It creates this transparent loop where you're always in control. All right, so the theory is really cool, but let's see how this all comes together when an agent is actually put on a mission. Let's look at a real-world example. Can one of these agents really build an entire application from just a single high-level prompt? So check this out. This is the actual prompt that was given to an anti-gravity agent.
Generate a website that is a one-day technical conference informational site. Use Python and Flask. Test out the site on your own. Launch the web application for me to review. I mean, notice what's happening here. This is not just asking for a little code snippet. This is a complex project request. It's got the tech stack, a request for self-testing, and even a command to launch the final app.
And in response, the agent just goes to work. First, it analyzes the prompt, breaking that big request down into smaller, manageable steps. Then it generates an implementation plan. That's an artifact right there, detailing the architecture. Then it writes all the code: HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python, the whole shebang. It starts the server, and then it even uses its integrated browser to test the application to make sure it works. And the whole time, it's doing this without needing constant handholding from a human.
Okay, but this next part is my absolute favorite. While it was working, the agent ran into a super common problem that we've all seen, right? Port 5000 was already busy. Now, instead of just crashing or throwing an error, it autonomously troubleshooted the problem. It figured out what was wrong, found the next free port, 8080 in this case, and successfully launched the server there. I mean, come on, that's not just coding anymore. That is genuine problem solving.
So this level of autonomy is obviously incredibly powerful. But, and this is a big but, giving an AI the keys to your terminal and your browser, that naturally raises some pretty important questions about security and, control.
I mean, this is the million-dollar question, right? How do you safely give an AI agent access to your terminal and your browser? If it can just run commands on your machine, how do you make sure it only does what you want it to do and nothing else? Well, the good news is Antigravity has built its entire security model around answering this exact question.
And the answer lies in giving you granular control through different terminal execution policies. Think of it like a dial with a few settings. You've got off mode, which is the most secure. The agent will never auto-execute a command unless it's on a specific allow list. Then you have turbo mode on the other end, which is all about maximum speed. The agent just goes for it, unless a command is on a denial list. And right in the middle, you have auto mode, which is the recommended balance. Here, the agent decides when to execute, but will still ask you for permission for anything that seems a bit risky.
What this really means is that you are always in the driver's seat. This granular permission system lets you find that perfect balance between the agent's autonomy and your own security needs. You get to decide exactly what you're comfortable with for any given task.
So let's just do a quick recap of the really big ideas here. First, Antigravity is a shift away from simple code completion to full-on agent orchestration. Second, that agent manager is your mission control for handling all these parallel AI tasks. Third, those artifacts are the key to solving the trust gap by giving you verifiable proof of the agent's work. And finally, you always have granular control over the agent's autonomy and security.
When you put it all together, what we're really seeing is a move from AI as just another tool in your toolbox to AI as a true collaborative partner in software development. The whole paradigm is shifting right under our feet.
And all of this leaves us with a pretty provocative question to chew on, doesn't it? When AI can reliably build, test, and deploy applications on its own, what does that free us up to do? What will the human developer build next? What new, bigger, more creative problems will you be able to solve?